Back to episode 4 of Trade Titans, reviewing your Dynasty trades from the Discord. We got our man Evan back here with us today, highly requested from episode 1. Thank you so much for returning, Evan. Your takes were awesome. People got a lot of value from your Dynasty fantasy football knowledge. And here we are, again, talking more trades. Curious to get your thoughts. A lot going on out here. We're going to start with a 12-team Superflex PPR. Start 11, 1.75 tight end premium, even though there's no tight ends in this trade anyway. Got a Bronco of yours, Troy Franklin or Jameson Williams. Where are we landing on this one?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I feel like it's a wild thing to say, but to me, it's pretty easily Troy Franklin. Franklin, last 3 games, y'all, listen to this: 10 targets, 8 targets, 10 targets. Of course, he had that massive 2-touchdown game against Dallas. Does it really count if it happened against Dallas with how bad their defense is? I don't care. I think that this connection between Bo Nix and Troy Franklin is real. I'm also a guy who's not a big fan of Jameson Williams on my fantasy teams. I like him if it's in best ball. If you're playing some sort of best ball dynasty, that's great. He is going to put up 6, 5, 2 points and then go off for 18, 20 points. He's a boomer bust player. I would much rather take the safe, consistent floor of Troy Franklin, also considering he's 2 years younger, 22 as opposed to 24. Franklin's receiver 27 on the season. That's excellent. Jameson, receiver 42. I don't see that getting better over the next few years.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with you here, and I feel like this is going to come off as 2 hot takes. There is so many Jameson Williams stands on the interweb out here. You know, I think across the Dynasty creator community, there was folks this offseason trying to tell you that he was going to overtake Amon-Ra St. Brown, as crazy as that sounds. However, I'm with you. I'm pretty done with the JMO experiment. Now, sure, at age 25 next year, could he somehow have some resurgence? Possibly. But as you mentioned, Troy Franklin's younger. He's got the connection with Bo Nix long term. I'm going to ride with him, just like you here, and I hope we're all proven right on that one. Did not think I'd be saying that at the start of the season, though. Let me tell you that. We've got another one here that's quite interesting. Sure. After all the injuries that have been going down, Tucker Kraft suffers a season-ending knee injury. Devastating. You know, it was playing at such an incredible clip. But this one is a tight end premium. Start 10, super flex still. You got Tucker Kraft and Jaden Reed on one side, or you got Isaiah Likely and Chris Olave. Where are we landing on this?
This is a difficult one. This is a really difficult one. I think I'm going to go, because of the 1.75 tight end premium, even with the knee injury. I saw enough from Tucker Kraft this season to get me excited long term. Isaiah Likely, I like the athlete. I don't like the fact that he's in this Baltimore offense that is low pass volume, spreads the ball around a lot. I don't see a bright future for him even when Mark Andrews leaves. I know that might sound wild. I think the correct dynasty take would be Likely and Olave. I'm going to go with the incorrect one. I'm going to take the injured players, Kraft, Reed, just because that's how much I like Tucker Kraft. Even with that knee injury, he's still borderline top 5 tight end for me because we saw what he could do. He looked like a baby George Kittle out there this year. I'm going to trust that he's going to be ready to go about a month into next season and have a nice long career after that.
Yeah, you know what? We're 2 for 2 today, Evan. I feel like you and I are riding on the same wavelength as usual, but I'm with you. I think the tight end premium is really what sells it for me here. Obviously, like you mentioned, Tucker Kraft out here giving you phenomenal production on the season. Now, not to say that Chris Olave shouldn't be given his flowers right now. Currently sitting at wide receiver 9 overall, with one of the worst offenses in football, and Tyler Shough doing God knows what behind that offensive line after last week. I guess a question I do have for you, bouncing off this one, is where do you land with Chris Olave now after the Rashid Shaheed trade? Do you think that helps his value, hurts his value, makes no difference at all? Where do you land on Olave?
I think it's mostly makes no difference. This is a guy who's still one of the top target earners in the NFL right now. Last week he was down to 4 targets. That was by far his lowest of the season. I don't think it changes too much. The issue with Olave is the fact that right now the quarterback that is feeding him is Shuck. If Shuck goes down, it's Spencer Rattler. It's not a good situation offensively for him, but we got to keep in mind this is a guy who's receiver 9 despite all that in fantasy this year. He's putting up double-digit performances over and over and over again this season. I feel fine about Olave, a little bit better because Shaheed's not there. Um, that was another mouth to feed, and I think Shaheed is going to be a great asset for the Seahawks. Olave, not much changing for me.
Well, I love that. I was excited to obviously see the trade go down. I'm excited by the prospect of Shaheed, deep ball, Sam Darnold, not to mention what we saw Clint Kubiak do in that Saints offense with Shaheed, just a year back before the Derek Carr injury and retirement and all that. You probably remember as well as I do. Shaheed was taking the top off defenses every single week with Kubiak, and it was an exciting team to watch. You said you were looking forward to it. Where do you value Rashid Shaheed in Dynasty right now? Like, that's probably an interesting question. Like, before we've even seen him take a snap yet, obviously this is being recorded before the weekend's action, but, like, are you willing to pay a second-round pick for Rashid Shaheed?
Oh, yeah. If you're a contender and you want to try to go all in this year, I think this is the best thing that could have ever happened for Shaheed. This offense right now in Seattle looks like one of the best offenses in the league. Sam Darnold looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I actually love the three-headed monster they're going to have at receiver right now. JSN looks like the best receiver in football. Not kidding, this season. Rashid Shaheed, he can take the top off any defense. And then my guy from Colorado State University, I'm a CSU alum, Torrey Horton is a touchdown machine. So, yes, a second for Shaheed if I'm a contender. Happy to do that. But it's also a guy that I'm willing to move. So he's not somebody who it's going to be team dependent. He's not somebody I absolutely am holding on to. But if I'm rebuilding, I would consider moving him just because that age, a little bit higher, 27. So really depending where you're at right now, I think he's going to have a fantastic finish to the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 20 receiver rest of the way.
I love that. I'm right there with you. I think a late second is a small price to pay to take a flyer on Shaheed. At the very worst, at age 27, it's not like you're washing that pick away. He's, it doesn't work out in Seattle. He's going to sign somewhere else. Maybe he goes to Buffalo next year. Lord knows where he lands. And you still have a flex-worthy player for the foreseeable future. So I'm completely with you there. You brought him up, and man, I'm loving watching what he's doing with Sam Darnold in that red zone, like you mentioned. Torrey Horton, your Colorado State guy, what are we paying for him in Dynasty now? Because if you were lucky, you probably got him on the waiver wire or in the fourth round of your rookie drafts like I did a bunch this offseason. Would you say you're up to a second-round pick for Torrey Horton as well? Or where do we value him?
It's going to be hard not to be a homer on this. I got him for cheaper earlier on in the season. I just tossed him into keep trade cut, right? That's not always the crown jewel of values, but I want to see like where is his value roughly. And it looks like, okay, so they're saying receiver 46, same area as Shaheed, same area as Jaden Reed, who's banged up right now. Second round pick, I feel really good about that. I love to watch for my rookies. All I'm ever asking for you is flash a little bit. I don't even need you to do much. But this guy has certainly flashed more than just a little bit. I think he's got 5 touchdowns on the season, something like that. Again, 22-year-old player. This guy was tearing it up.
One shy of Ibuka. One shy of Ibuka in rookie touchdowns.
He doesn't get a lot of targets right now. I think it's actually going to be not great for him this year. Don't expect too much from him this year just because they run a lot of 2 receiver sets. But I think him and JSN and Shaheed, it's going to be a fun mix as they go forward in Horton's career. So I'd be happy to send a second for this guy. He's so young, dominated the Mountain West. Apparently he's not practicing. Okay.
It happens. I think he'll be all right.
Too much for Dynasty.
Yeah. No, I love that, Evan. I appreciate your insight on your guy that you got to watch in college over there. Now we're going to talk about another one of your guys. It's a start 9 format this time. Still 12 teams, Superflex, PPR. I got RJ Harvey on one side, who's finding the end zone early and often these last 4 weeks. And moving for Deebo Samuel, which side are you landing on this one? I feel pretty comfortable taking the Harvey side here, even though I'm not the biggest RJ Harvey guy. I'm not a Deebo Samuel guy. You concur with this? How do you see Harvey's usage increasing a bit here with the touchdowns the last few weeks?
Yeah, we had the Harvey conversation last time, and
Yes, we
you were
did.
talking about how you don't like the older running back. And I totally get that. Look, I think it's kind of over for Debo. Um, yeah, he's an older player. He's 29. This season feels like a lost season for all the offensive performers on the Commanders. We saw Jaden Daniels' gruesome injury this last week. I don't know how long that's going to take him out. He's getting banged up. If he's not out there, this team is essentially not functional on offense. 3 straight weeks for Debo under 10 points. And I don't necessarily think next year it's going to be better for him. I like what I'm seeing out of Harvey a lot. As a Broncos fan, he is popping. And the fact that he had 5 receptions last week, Sean Payton, what have we been saying? Needs to get his passing downs back. RJ Harvey starting to get on the field a little bit more. I'm excited to see if they give him more work. We're talking about 5 touchdowns through the air and on the ground over the last few games, and he's doing it with like less than 10 touches a game. This is a guy I've been saying for the rest of the season, give him 12 to 15 touches a game, same amount to Dobbins. It's going to be a great 1-2 punch. Easy, easy, easy. Give me RJ Harvey over Deebo Samuel. I might even go as far to say Harvey could outscore Samuel rest of the way this year.
Yeah, I could see that, and I'm with you. And, you did bring it up. I wanted to touch on it as well. Still not the biggest RJ Harvey guy, dynasty-wise. We had that conversation a couple weeks ago about his age, about, the potential touch split for the future in Denver. But I do think, like you've been so, clearly mentioning, and we can't avoid it at this point, he's getting a ton of red zone action. He is finding the end zone. He's showing Sean Payton he can rely on him. He's beginning the usage in the passing game. Like you mentioned, 5 catches on 5 targets last week. I think at this point, at least in the intermediate, if you're a bridge team, if you're a team that's in the middle, that's looking to contend in the next year, Harvey's suddenly become a target for you that maybe if you're more in the rebuilding sector, I'm still not bought in on. But if you're somewhere in the middle, he's actively changing my mind as far as his fantasy value goes in the immediate. And I'm with you. Deebo Samuel, experiment's over. Experiment's over for Deebo Samuel. And I think that's fair. Speaking of experiments, we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Caleb Johnson has been a guy that a lot of people probably took in their rookie draft, were really high on. Unfortunately, we've seen 0 out of him this season outside of a muffed punt return that resulted in a touchdown for the Seahawks in week 2, a soft benching after that, and basically no opportunities with, Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell taking the majority of the snaps over there. This one's a 12-team Superflex PPR star 10. Are you still sending a 26-second for Caleb Johnson if you're a rebuilding team to hope he does something, or are you thinking that second's better spent somewhere else?
Yeah, I would take the Johnson side of this. I'm just really not excited about this 2026 class. I keep watching college football on Saturdays, waiting for somebody to pop, waiting for a player to be like, yeah, hey, here I am. We kind of watched like Cam Skattebo, have a meteoric rise last year.
Yeah.
All sorts of players last year had something like that, running backs specifically. And I'm just telling you, there's really nobody I'm getting excited about outside of the big name Jeremiah Love and the running back out of Michigan. And you're not getting those guys in the second round of your draft in 2026. I'll hold on to Caleb Johnson. Bank on the age 22. It's a little bit of violating my rule, which is if, like I mentioned with Horton, if you're a rookie, I want to see you do something. Haven't seen it yet out of him, but I honestly think that if he came out this year in the draft, he might be the 3rd best running back. So just because of where we're starting to look at the 2022 or 2026, position players and in the draft, I'm not very excited about them. I guess I'll take Caleb Johnson. It's pretty close here for me.
That's fair. I think I land somewhere in the middle on this one, not to like sit on a fence too hard here, but I think I'm
Sure.
like more in the camp of just what does that second get me in a package deal? And I know I'm kind of changing the question on myself, but we just talked about Torrey Horton, right? Like, does a second get me Torrey
Yeah.
Horton? Does a second
Right.
get me, someone I'm a bit more interested in? Hell, we even, just talked about a moment ago. Who was it? Now I'm already forgetting. Oh, Troy Franklin and Jaden Reed,
Franklin.
Isaiah Likely, some of those folks, and I
Sure.
think does a second package with somebody else get me closer in a different deal rather than just spending it one for one on Johnson? I think that's more of the question I'm asking about your league economy in a trade like this.
Sure.
Now, I'm with you. I don't think you need to give up on these players so quick. Caleb Johnson could come out and show you something exciting next year, and people do the head scratch thing. Why was he not involved the first year, right? And we've seen that happen plenty of times in fantasy. So I think this is a fair trade. It's probably not a trade I'd be doing, but it's a fair trade for sure. I think the question I really have for you, which we're gonna have to do an entirely separate show on this one. We'll have to link up and do some of our Dynasty rookie rankings. Starting to come towards the end of the season here in a few weeks. But
Right.
you mentioned you weren't super thrilled on the 26 class. I'm curious where you land on guys like Coleman out of University of Washington, Boston out of Washington. Those are my hometown guys. I think they're both exciting prospects. Obviously, Lemon and Tyson look like some decent prospects. Tate's had some flashes at time. Like, I know we're definitely not talking the second round, but are you in the camp of shipping away some of those 26 picks, or is there still guys that you are excited about outside of Jeremiah Love?
It's a little bit early. I want
It's
to
early.
see
It's early.
how we wrap up the college football season, specifically kind of going into the playoffs when it's crunch time. That's when some of these big names start to pop. Um, I look, there's always going to be good players, but the hit rate in the second round is
It's
low.
low.
The hit rate in the third round is way lower. I mentioned this the first time I was on the show. I'm okay with moving off picks.
Yeah.
I'm okay with moving off picks because I could always go get those picks back later. Um,
Sure.
there's always going to be some running backs that you like late in fantasy drafts or in your rookie drafts. I would say try to focus on your other positions, receivers, tight ends. If there's a great running back, we had like 5 great running back options last year in the first round of the draft. Go get those guys in the first round and then just stockpile the late round running backs, right? Woody Marks right now. Woody Marks was a guy that we stockpiled. Bill Krosky Merritt, a guy that we stockpiled, right? So, yes, there's always going to be another relevant running back that gets Kamani Vidal, that gets the opportunity because of injuries. So, if you only, let's say you only have 2 picks in your fantasy rookie draft, you have a third and a fourth, use them on running backs because who knows, very quickly running backs can go down and you could get a Kamani Vidal situation where you've got a guy who's helping you win a league for a few weeks.
Totally, totally. Evan made a video on this the other day, guys, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out already. I love what you said about stockpiling those running backs instead of some of the wide receivers that are just like, bench warming your roster out there, and you're hoping they give you something. But the running backs, you're seeing it this year. Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad White, Tyler Algier at times, and Zach Charbonnet finding the end zone often. Like these handcuff running backs, they all have a role, and some of the wide receivers just don't. But as we jump into the next one, the Brian Thomas Jr. experiment continues this season. We talked about him on the first episode you
Do
were
it.
on. 4 weeks later, we're talking about him again. Where are you with Brian Thomas Jr. now? Are you less confident? Are you taking Keyshawn Boutte in a mid 26 first to re-roll, or are you just saying, nope, I've made it this far. I'll tough it out with BTJ.
That's probably not enough for me to move off BTJ. Um, gosh, it's been tough. I planted my flag with my group of friends. We like to talk ball in the group chat, and we got a friend who's really a Travis Hunter guy, and I'm a BTJ guy. So I really planted my flag with BTJ, saying, a year from now he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Jags. And since then, I mean, he has put up 6 points, a bye week, and then 8 points, and now high ankle sprain. I think it's just a lost year for BTJ. Uh, it's just so difficult. The targets are there. Trevor Lawrence, to me, is starting to show that he's a bottom half of the league quarterback. That's a problem. They have, a lot of money invested in this guy, and he's not very good. And even Liam Cohen isn't making him look very good. But I believe in the talent of Brian Thomas. I believe in the age of Brian Thomas. I think he can bounce back next year. I think this is going to be the BTJ last year, and then he's going to get back to his form. Maybe we don't see rookie BTJ, but something like a wide receiver 2 going forward. I certainly think that's within the realm of possibility. And I don't necessarily want to. If I'm rebuilding, and look, BTJ's on my team, and I've got Pierce on my team, and who else is injured? I got some other injuries. I've got Omari and Hampton, and I've got to rebuild this year. Sure, I'll make that move and take the first round pick. Butte is just kind of a player on an NFL team. But if we're just saying kind of neutral, not rebuilding, not pushing all in, I'm going to take the Brian Thomas side, even though it makes me sick to say with how poor he has looked this season.
Yeah, I think it's definitely becoming harder for me to just hold my tongue here, and I can't tell if we're in mid-season. I've been watching college football. I'm starting to get some rookie fever here, and I'm looking at some of the wide receivers that are coming out of this class and saying, ooh, there's some interesting talent out there. Like I said, I am interested in guys like Boston and Lemon and Tate and Tyson and see where they all land. And, well, if this is a mid-pick, is this the 104, the 105? Could I end up still snagging a top-tier wide receiver? Because in a super flex, a quarterback's for sure going to go in the first 3 picks, especially in this class. So, I start to get a little tempted with this one, but I am with you. I am still going to ride it out with Brian Thomas. I think this is a little just not enough for me. But as the season goes on and I start to get a little bit more rookie fever, if you added a second on that other side, I think I'd start to consider it. But I am with you. I think we got to hold our patience here with BTJ. The next one I thought was kind of interesting because when we talk about rookie wide receivers, you've seen Io Manor flash at times here, and, the Titans have been more or less a dumpster fire. They fire the coaches. Here we go again, trying to retool the entire team. But where you land on this one, you got a start 9 format here. Derrick Henry on one side, so essentially you're getting a little bit of a rental for Io Manor and Ray Davis. Ray Davis probably that little shake throw on piece, that someone might get tempted over.
Hey, this is going to be, some free advice for you guys right now. Monitor these injury reports. We have limited practice for James Cook. He was upgraded from a no practice. If James Cook doesn't go at all this season, it's going to be Ray Davis taking over most of that work. I think Ty Johnson's role is going to be the same, but just keep track of that. Look, here's the deal. With it being Derrick Henry, this to me is so obviously context dependent.
Yeah.
If you are in win now mode and you think, man, I am one player away, I am totally happy sending Elick Amanor and Ray Davis for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Right? But again, if you're, I don't even know how many games we've gone through this year, like 3 and 6, and you don't have a chance, sure, go bank those younger players. Ray Davis is barely younger; he's 25. Go bank those younger players and move off of Henry. In fact, I think you could get more from Henry. I just saw somebody in another league, 12 team as well. They gave up, what was it? It was Harvey in 2 seconds for Henry. So you can get more for Derrick Henry. I do think that is true.
Yeah, no, I'm with you here. I think I'll do your flag plant thing. I'll plant pretty firmly on the Derrick Henry side here. I think just even if I am a rebuilder, hell, give me Derrick Henry. I'll wait 1 week, and I'll pass him off to a contender next week. I still got a few weeks before the trade deadline. I can get more.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I totally understand. Everything Evan said is true here. It's context dependent. Of course, if you're a rebuilding team, yeah, maybe it's more exciting to get the young wide receiver. I think to talk about a couple guys we were mentioning earlier, I think if you wanted to go get Troy Franklin for Derrick Henry and someone's a contending roster, they'd still do it. They'd still do it. I think there's a good chance you get even one more year out of Derrick Henry next year and he runs it back. And so I think that
we've never seen
I think
anything
we do
quite
it.
like him.
Yeah, exactly. I think we do it. I think no matter what, I'm going to take the Henry side here, especially the fact that it's a start 9 league. And I think when we talk about league format, context matters so much because, start 9 for me, personally, I'd have to see so much development in the next couple years from Cam Ward and Io Manor and the Titans team as a whole to be like, yeah, I am starting Io Manor every week on a start 9 and I'm going to win. I think like at best in a start 9, Io Manor is a bench spot that you're playing during the bye week, and you're hoping that he holds you over until Garrett Wilson's off his bye, right? I think it's just like, that's more my thought process here. And sure, if the Titans turn it around, by all means, like, does Io Manor potentially have the talent level to take him further? Yeah, I think we've seen enough from him to say, he's definitely not a nothing piece in fantasy. But yeah, I just start 9. Give me Derrick Henry here, even if I'm somewhere in the middle. Maybe those 30-point Derrick Henry weeks suddenly lift me from the depths.
Good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
All right, we're going to hop into a start 11. We're going deep format now, and we're going tight end premium. A guy who, has really flashed onto the scene here in Arondre Gadsden. I watched this trade happen in my league just the other day. Decided to throw it on in here. I wanted your opinion on it. I gasped a little bit when it happened because I said, wow, we're just sending first-round picks right away now for guys that look good for a couple weeks. But I understand it's a tight end premium.
Right.
He looks like a oversized receiver more than he does a tight end. Are you bought in on the Gadsden train? Are you willing to send a mid to late 26 first right away in a tight end premium form, or are you holding judgment?
What I would love to do is if I had Trey McBride, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Bank off of the Rondé Gadsden. Here's the deal: in tight end premium, I'm actually going to take the Gadsden side.
All right.
I have been thinking that I'm losing my mind over the last month with this guy. Everybody, shooting him up their tight end ranks. But he's connected to Justin Herbert. Clearly this works. He went 5 for 5 last week, 5 for 5 the other week, 2 weeks ago. That was, following a 9-target game and an 8-target game. I think that this is a guy that actually is going to threaten Quentin Johnston. We haven't heard much from QJ recently. I wonder why. 22 years old, 6'5". This guy looks like the real deal. And if I'm in tight end premium, of course I'm going to give a first-round pick for a guy that could be this. I don't see any reason why he would slow down. I guess injury would be that reason. But he's a rookie right now, putting up these numbers, and really did nothing the first month and a half through the season, yet he's still tight end 11. I believe it. So if I'm somebody who has Gadsden and I just struck gold with this guy on my taxi squad, somebody comes in with a first-round pick, I'm going to go, unless I have McBride or Bowers or something like that, I'm just going to say I'm keeping this guy because I get 1.75 points whenever he catches the ball.
Yeah, no, I could see it. I think, to play devil's advocate here, I am very stuck in the middle on this one. When I watched the trade go down in my league, like I mentioned, I gasped a little bit because I went, that's such a quick sample size. It's such a quick sample size. And like the eye test confirms everything you're saying, right? He looks great. He looks fast. He looks capable of running a full route tree at the tight end position, which is so exciting. He's attached to Justin Herbert, right? And all these things are so encouraging if you are an owner already. Now, if I'm not an owner, I always ask, am I trying to chase the performance and then suddenly it dies off? Because I know Jim Harbaugh, and I know Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football. He's always wanted to run the football. I know better than anybody as I watch my Seattle Seahawks for a stretch of 5 years against those San Francisco 49ers teams just get the football absolutely rammed down their throat with Frank Gore back in the day. And so now here we are. Amarian Hampton is hurt. You're leaning on Kamani Vidal, who's been playing well, but does that elevate the passing game even further? Maybe. Is Gadsden getting more use because of that? Maybe. I don't know. And so I think I find myself somewhere hesitant in the middle. Now, you did bring up the tight end premium. I couldn't agree with you more. It's very hard to deny it because of how heavy of a tight end premium it is. So I think, like, to play as much devil's advocate as I can, if I'm confident it's a late first, I'm going to say 108 or later,
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
absolutely doing the deal. I think if it's leaning towards could be a mid first, where we're talking 104 to 106, I am gonna hold. I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna put the wallet back in my pocket and try not to go out and spend too much while we're in the middle of the season. And I think I'm gonna just hold a few more weeks here. And I know that might mean he's out of my price range by the end of it, but if I lost it and I got to go buy
Right.
George Kittle and hopefully he
Sure.
performs for me for 2 or 3 more years, I'll lick my
Sure.
wounds. I'll lick my wounds there. But I'm with you. He looks exciting as hell.
Let me say one thing about the Chargers here really quickly. I know
Please.
Hampton's been out, but even when Hampton was there, it's been a really, really odd thing. It's disorienting to see this with Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. They're number 2 in team pass plays per game,
Yeah.
39.8 right now this season. That's wild to me. I would have never guessed that. So, is Jim changing his tune? Because the one thing I think about Jim Harbaugh more than anything else is this: the guy wants to win football games.
He
If he
does.
looks at his
He
team
does.
and he goes, "We can run the damn ball." We have Blake Corum, at Michigan, right? Like you said, Frank Gore in the Niners. Yeah, let's do it. But if we have a great receiving core, Ladd and Keenan and now Gadsden, QJ, and this awesome quarterback, I'm going to throw the dang football if it helps me win because that's what Harbaugh's all about.
No, you're right, and you're bringing up some great points. I think the other thing that you and I didn't even mention at all to date so far is the injuries they've struggled with on the offensive line all year. And now you lose Alt again for the rest of the season, which is devastating. And it's like, well, if they had a fully healthy offensive line, would they be running the ball a little bit more? I don't know. On top of that, like you're saying, there was a clip this offseason. I'm sure you remember it too. Jim Harbaugh gets asked some question about Justin Herbert, and he looked at the camera and he goes, "I'm gonna get Justin Herbert an MVP." You remember this, or like I'm gonna win a Super Bowl with Justin
He
Herbert.
loves Herbert.
He does,
He
and
loves
so
Herbert.
yeah, maybe I'm being the old timer here and trying to stick to my Jim Harbaugh of the past, right? And maybe he's evolved, like you said. Maybe he's a lot more open to throwing the football, and the numbers would show that, like you clearly pointed out. So, what do we know over here as couch coaches? This guy's winning football games, and we're just
Right.
trying to keep up. So yeah, you could be very right there. I think let's talk about another injury. Unfortunately, Bucky Irving still not on the field for us. Reports are he's not even practicing this week. I didn't know it was this bad. Apparently, it's this bad. Tyrone Tracy, a mid 26 first.
Weird.
Are you sending that to get Bucky Irving at this point and try to buy the value dip while he's hurt? Or are you saying, I don't know, he might be done for the season. I'll just wait till the offseason. I'll hold my first. Where you at here?
Well, Tracy, the interesting thing about Tracy right now is people are going to be considering him as a player to add as they start to push towards playoffs with Scatterboo going down. Um, I think this would be the time where I'd like to go. I would like to go try to buy Bucky, I think, in every league that I'm in. He is excellent when he's on the field. I'm a little bit worried. He's a smaller guy, 195, 5'10. But this season, listen to this: 14 and a half points, 18 points, 13.9 points, 26.5 points in the first month of the season. He was crushing it.
He was.
They were giving him too much work, though, and that's why he broke down. I'm looking at like 20, 30 touches a game. He's electric enough to do well with, 18 touches a game. I would love to go buy low on Bucky Irving because I believe in the talent. I remember I was kicking myself last year and I learned a lesson. I hope I remember it for the rest of my career playing Dynasty fantasy football. I don't care about the combine and running backs because I missed on Kyron. I missed on Bucky. There's another, I missed on James Cook. These smaller guys, they didn't run as fast as we wanted, and we just crapped all over them. But guess what? I thought Bucky could play. I remember watching him at Oregon with Bo Nix and going, this guy could play. He's got the juice. And I talked myself out of it. Why? Because he ran a slow 40. Now, a little bit worried with some of the injury stuff, of course, but the mid first and Tyrone Tracy for me, totally worth it if I'm getting Bucky Irving. I've said it a lot of times throughout this show. I think it's because there's been a lot of injuries this season. It's the lost year for a lot of players, and it's going to be a Bucky Irving lost year. They must have been optimistic because they could have put him on IR and gotten an extra roster spot. But this has been happening with all sorts of players. Ricky Pearsall,
Totally.
why is he not on IR? So, Bucky Irving, he's still 23. I'm going to take that side.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I'll probably take the value dip on Bucky here and just go shopping. I think, like you said, especially if your roster can afford to do so. All right, Evan. We are a little bit over 18 minutes away from kickoff. I don't want to hold you from your Broncos. Same with myself here. We're going to do a fun one for now. Wasn't planning it, but I'm putting you on the spot. I'm going to call this rapid fire.
Good.
We're going to whip through 10 trades
Good.
in less than 10 minutes. Set your timers. Let's
All right.
go. We'll try to make it as quick as we can because there's some interesting ones I definitely want your opinion on. All right? Give me
Yes, I'll be less talkative.
No. You're all good. I just know that Broncos primetime is all yours, and believe me, I'm gonna whip through these, but I need your opinion on where are we at with Kyle Monungai. We got Brashard Smith in here, Kyle Monungai, a second and a third. Are you fine taking a swing? I feel like I'm comfortably sending a second for Monungai right now, just for the upside that he might be the starter.
Yeah, I'm done with that. That's fine with me. You're not going to find a better option in the second round next year. You're looking to hit on somebody. This guy's already worked. Yeah, I mean, if you're referring to this Brashard Smith and Monungai trade here, a 26 second and 26 third, easily give me Smith and Monungai.
Yeah, same. 176 yards last week. Like, you got to pay attention to that, even ever so slightly here, right? All right, next
Yep.
one. We got a quarterback
Versus
change.
the Bengals defense.
It's true. Bengals defense. Here's the thing. Got a quarterback change in Arizona. You and I have both talked about Kyler Murray in the past. Marvin Harrison seems to be unlocked. Career high 7 targets last week. Believe me, when I read that stat, it jumbled my head around a little bit. Career high 7 targets last week. But are you taking Marvin, Jaden Higgins, or are you leaning Judkins and a fourth here?
I don't know if we've talked about this. I am a famous Marv is overrated kind of guy.
Me
If
too.
his
Me
name
too.
was,
Oh no.
Mark Harrison, he would have gone later in the first round.
Yep.
I think that his move against Deron Bland, everyone's freaking out about it.
Yep.
Deron Bland sucks. The Cowboys defense sucks. Marvin Harrison Jr. had his career game against the worst defense I've ever seen in my life. Give me Judkins in the fourth.
Man, I'm so with you. I'm done with the Marv experiment. I do think Jacoby, elevates him a bit here.
He's fine.
Yeah, I think he elevates him, but I don't think I'm still taking a 21-year-old running back in Judkins and just saying, all right, good riddance. All right, this one's interesting. It's a star 10. We got some big pieces in this one. You got Garrett Wilson and Devon Achane on one side. The other side, you got Kenneth Walker and 2 firsts. Obviously, we don't know where these firsts are, early, mid, late, so kind of putting you in a spin cycle with this one, but where do we land on here? Because you know me, I love Kenneth Walker. I still think he's underutilized. I think maybe the Shaheed trade even helps him, like less stacked boxes. Sure. They got to deal with Torrey Horton and Shaheed at the same time. Like, could be a buy low on Ken Walker before we see this explosion of the Seattle, offensive run game get that boost. But I don't know. For me, it's hard to move off from Devon Achane and Garrett Wilson, even for a price like this. Yeah. Where are you at?
Yeah. Well, you say we don't know where those first will be. We also don't know where Ken Walker is going to be this time next year. Is he going to be a Seahawk? I hope not, because clearly I don't know what the usage is. It's just him and UCLA legend Zach Charbonnet, and there's not enough usage for my guy Ken Walker, who I think is a top 10 running back in this league. But yeah, give me Wilson in Achane here. My hope with those firsts in 26 and 27 would be to get a player like Wilson or a player like Achane. And the odds of me hitting on that are probably 50% or lower. So give me those guys, and Garrett Wilson is certainly a sweetheart of mine. So I love Garrett.
Yeah, nice. I'm curious. Sorry, this is not trade related at all, but I had an alert just pop
Sure.
up. I think this is so funny. Apparently the Titans reportedly refused to make any trades with the Patriots on deadline day due to ill will from the owner. Still holds over Mike Vrabel's time in Tennessee and
Titan.
how it ended. You find that petty? I think that's kind of ridiculous.
I think it's petty. I think it's dumb. The Titans fired Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel brought the Titans to the playoffs one year with Ryan Tannehill, and they were the number one overall seed. I think they lost in like the second weekend of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But because of egos in the locker room and with ownership, they shipped out Mike Vrabel, and what do you get for it? You go get Callahan. He can't coach for anything, and Mike Vrabel is taking the what are the Patriots 7-2? He is this year's Jim Harbaugh hire. He is an elite coach. He's a motivator. He's a leader. And the Titans owner, to me, whoever it is, must be somebody with a very fragile ego because Mike Vrabel is such a great coach.
Yeah, talk about holding your franchise in mediocrity. I mean, like, if I'm a Titans fan reading that right now, I'm taking my jersey off and I'm picking a new team. I mean, like, you got to be honest with this one. Like, that's why you're going to be stuck in mediocrity. What, you won't take your draft capital? I mean, I can at least tip my hat to the Jets with what they did on deadline day to just be like, yep.
I loved it.
Yeah, we suck. Like, let's rebuild. I mean, several dynasty owners could learn a thing or two from the New York Jets right there.
Admit
Yeah.
when you have made a mistake. The Cardinals did it years ago. They said Josh Rosen, my guy from UCLA.
Yeah.
I was at that game where he came back against A&M. Is not it. We're going with Kyler. Admit when you make the mistake and move on.
Yeah, I think
Jared
that's
Jones
ridiculous.
needs to do this also in Dallas.
Oh, Jerry Jones. All these guys, they're fickle pocket checkbooks and not being able to get over their own egos. But, all right, we're going to rip a few more of these. We talked about Tucker Kraft already. I'm going to swing past some. I'm interested. Okay, the Tucker Kraft injury happened. We got another tight end premium here. Are you bought in on Luke Musgrave? We got Rico Dowdle, Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave on one side. On the other side, you got Trey Harris and Brees Hall. Are you which side are we leaning here? I think I'm leaning the Hall side. I mean, like, in a vacuum, you're getting production from Rico Dowdle here. I think I'm getting production from Rico Dowdle, like rental till the end of the season at a great clip. And then, Jaden Reed's still hurt. I don't know if he's, going to play this week or next week or how long it's going to be. Packers wide receivers, I don't know how much I trust him in general. Luke Musgrave, I haven't seen enough from him to be wildly convinced, but if they use him like they used Kraft, I guess great upside. But I like Trey Harris. I like Brees Hall. I think he goes somewhere and gets a huge value spike next year. But, yeah, let's debate. You taking the other side here?
Yeah, I'll take the other side. Look, I'm in on Dowdle. And here's the thing. Brees Hall, Dowdle, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, all free agents after this year. These are all guys who are going to go get starting jobs. Dowdle is going to go get a starting job somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be Carolina or somewhere else, but he's showing that he's got the juice. He was kind of my buy low when they announced that Hubbard was coming back. And I think you and I talked about it quickly in TikTok comments. We were saying, hey, Hubbard is going to have a role.
Yeah.
And then, right, we always have to adapt when we have new news. Canales comes out and he says, actually, we see it on tape too. We're going to give Rico the ball. They did it again last week. He helped them beat the Packers. Looked great. I like Jaden Reed more than I like Trey Harris. Luke Musgrave, throw it in. Why not? He was the waiver out of the week. We'll see. So, yeah, I like that side because I think Hall and Dowdle, as wild as it might sound, have almost the same value going forward, in my opinion.
All right, clip it. There you go. You get the Dowdle and Hall almost the same value. I mean, look, I think maybe I'm the one that's getting stuck too much in the age cliff thing of saying, Rico's going to be 28 next year. No one's going to sign a 28-year-old running back. But then, Saquon gets the extension. Derrick Henry's getting an extension at 31. If you're good, you're good. And Dowdle is very, very good. He's playing at a great clip. So I think the next one might be an easy one for you then, and we'll just blow right past it. Second and a fourth for Rico Dowdle? You're fine with it? You're sending him?
Yep, 26. Yeah. Give me Dowdle on that side.
Yeah, you know what?
I want to buy on.
This one I will
he's
agree
looking
with you
really
on.
good right now.
I think I'm good sending these picks away, even if it's just for the rest of the season. I think, he's averaging 17 and a half points per game as a starter here, so I think you're fine. All right, let's
He's
go.
saving me in a few leagues.
All right, let's go Michael Pittman question here. Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, two guys that have seen a nice little value boost here. One's wide receiver 6 on the season. One's wide receiver 12 on the season. Pittman being 6, Waddle being 12. One's younger. One's attached to Tua. One's attached to Danny Dimes. I'm giving you a lot to work with here. Ping pong back and forth. Where are we at? You taking Waddle in the 4th? You taking Pittman?
Ugh. Give me the Waddle side.
All right, we got another disagreement here. I'm gonna
give me
take
Waddle.
Michael Pittman. I'm gonna take Michael Pittman. So give me a 30-second why Jalen Waddle here.
I just love Jalen Waddle. I think he's a great player. I am kind of hitting myself because I'm like, we're having kind of the quarterback future discussion for both. I'm not fully bought in on the Daniel Jones future forever. We kind of saw the cracks last week. Hey, but it didn't matter for Pittman. He still put up 21 points. Shane Steichen, great offensive mind. Waddle, he could be with a number of quarterbacks or receivers as of next year. I just believe in the talent. I like the fact that he's a few years younger. Pittman, to me, is kind of a guy that has like a really great year and then like disappears because he like breaks his back. So give me Jalen Waddle. I don't love it now that I've said it, but I'll stick with it.
No, that's fair enough. I think if Waddle had been moved on trade day, I think I would have been more bought in on the Waddle side here. I just think I'm very nervous about what's about to happen to this Miami Dolphins team in the offseason and the direction they decide to go and who's going to play quarterback for them and what the head coaching situation and all that. And I think just the uncertainty there, I do think Danny Dimes is getting extended. I do think, Michael Pittman and him have a good connection. I just think stability on this one is really the only reason I'm taking the other side. But I do think Jalen Waddle is madly talented, and I don't think you're getting ripped off or anything with a deal like this. I got one final one for you. We're gonna wrap up because we've got just a few minutes before kickoff. But I like the dichotomy we got going here. We got Travion Henderson. Finally saw him, start to get some usage this last week, and Emeka Ibuka. Or are you just taking Puka Nacua? People are so high on Ibuka. Are you just rolling with Puka? Are you taking the swing on the younger guys? Where are you landing here?
This is easy. There are a few players in Dynasty, in Fantasy. If you can go get them, I don't care what the price is, go get them. And Henderson and Ibuka, that is worth the price of Puka. Absolutely the Puka side here. One of the great players going right now. Attached to Sean McVay, not necessarily Matt Stafford, but Sean McVay is really the straw that mixes the drink there for the Rams. So give me Puka. It's a nice trade though. It's nice and pretty close to fair.
Yeah, it's close to fair, and I think you know what it's pretty clearly, like you said, for me, the Puka side. Like I wouldn't hesitate to smash accept if this came to my inbox here, but at the same time, like. I think it's one of those nice Trojan horse trades. Like people are so high on Ibuka and people love these young rookies that I think like you could get away with sending this and smash and accept on it and it'll age beautifully for you. Because I agree, like just like fine wine, Puka is going nowhere attached to an offensive mastermind. People starting to act like he's getting older. Man's 24 years old. Like you've got 6 solid years of Puka dominance ahead of you. So I'm not
hurt all the time though.
The durability is the question. And you know what? Like I can't even dive too much into this topic because you and I will go for hours on this and we'll run it back in a week's time here or whenever I can get you on next, Ev. But I had JSN above Puka in my midseason dynasty rankings the other day. I was talking about it on the live. I had some people debating me here, but the real reason was that, the durability. I think Puka does have a bit more injury knocks than what I've seen out of JSN so far in his career. Now, not to knock anybody for their injuries. I know it's a random thing, and I'm not going to discriminate against players, but at the end of the day, Puka does seem to get hurt a lot. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Where's your final take on that one? I'm curious. JSN, Puka, are you
JSN or Puka?
Yeah.
Ooh. Gosh. Oh man, JSN is just so good. I know you're a Seahawks fan, so you must be over the moon. Flip a coin.
Flip a coin.
Opinion. I'm gonna go with Puka.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Puka because of the McVay factor. Look, one of my general takes right now is that it is not a good year to be in need of a coach, a head coach. It's not a good year to be in need of a quarterback coming out of college.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are going to look at Kubiak as the best option for their head coach this year. Kubiak, Cliff Kingsbury, Joe Brady, I think all get jobs. And Kubiak has totally unlocked this offense. We don't have a guarantee that an offensive mind like that is coming through the door next year. Now, this is a lot of assumption, but we know McVay is going to be with the Rams for the long haul, and we know that he's a mastermind.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm with you there. I think if anything, we are seeing two very, very productive wide receivers in the prime of their career and getting a ton of fantasy usage out of both of them. Evan, I thank you so much again for coming on the show. Our first repeat guest. This will not be the last. I think Evan will be on every other week if he can swing it. It's how much we love him over here at Dynasty Price Check. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Go ahead, like the video, comment the video, interact with it, share it with your friends, do whatever you can do to help us grow out here, make this one of the best trade shows on the internet for you guys. If you haven't already joined the free Discord, go ahead, hop over to my website, dynastypricecheck.com, join the free Discord. Throw your trades in the trade center. You get the chance to have them featured on this show. We'll be cranking episodes for you every single week. With that, we're 2 minutes away from kickoff. Evan and I are going to go enjoy the game here. Evan, shout out to the people one more time real quick. Let them know where they can find you and everything you got going on in your life, my man.
Sure. Yeah, I'm working on TikTok right now. You can follow me, Dynasty Fantasy Takes _TLG. Just making videos every day, kind of just sharing my thoughts extemporaneously. Don't do a lot of rankings or stuff like that, but get my comments. Leave me questions if you want a question about your start sit for this week or a trade you want to make in Dynasty or season long. Let me know. I'll either reply via I'll type out a reply to you. Oftentimes I grab those and I make videos in response. Also, I'll give you my full thoughts like we do here. Check it out, and just no nonsense fantasy advice.
Hell yeah. Well, with that one, we appreciate you, Evan. Thank you guys so much for coming along. If you haven't already, drop Evan a follow, drop myself a follow, join up on the Discord. We'll be talking again real soon, and everybody enjoy your Thursday night football here. Best of luck to y'all. Take care.